Hey everyone, my name is Hannah and I just wanted to personally welcome you to my very own YouTube channel. This is my very first video here on YouTube and I am so excited to be here. I have been planning this since probably about June of last year. So this has definitely just been on the back of my mind. It's something that I've known that I wanted to do. And if you can't tell by the title, I wanted my very first video to be on the new Peanut Butter and Jelly palette by Too Faced Cosmetics. When I saw that they were releasing this palette and I saw the colors, which are just absolutely stunning in my opinion, I just knew that I wanted to do a tutorial on this. These are colors I wear pretty much on the daily. If you know me, if you're my friend, you know that I wear these like warm, like bronzy, coppery shades pretty much every single day. So I was really excited to get this. I'm really excited and I love that it smells like peanut butter because I mean, it's just so exciting to open it like when you're doing your makeup, because who doesn't want to smell like a mixture of peanut butter, and it even has like a hint of chocolate, so it kind of tastes like a Reese's. Well, I haven't tasted it. Kind of smells like a Reese's cup. And if you guys are interested, I do have a full review on this palette on my blog, which I'm going to link in the description box below. I'm just going to tell you my opinion on this palette, as well as give you some swatches of these colors, which most of these are bomb. So check it out. Check it out. Go now. So if you guys do like the look I created using the peanut butter and jelly palette, please give my video a thumbs up. It's really going to help me out. If you don't like it, just go ahead and give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't already, which you probably haven't because this is my very first YouTube video, please go ahead and click the subscribe button right down there. So yeah, if you want to see how I created this look, just please keep on watching. Thanks guys. Hey guys. So now that my skin is completely cleansed and moisturized, I'm going to go ahead and start out with applying some Carmex to my lips to make sure that they are moisturized and ready to go by the time we put lipstick on at the end of this tutorial. Then I'm going to go in with my favorite eyeshadow primer by Smashbox. It's their 24-hour eyeshadow primer. This is really, really good for super oily eyelids or even hooded eyes because I have a super duper problem with my eyeshadow creasing. And then I'm going to double team it by putting some MAC Painterly Paint Pot over top of it. This really, really helps keep the eyeshadow in place for me. Like I said, I have a really big problem because my eyes are so hooded. My eyeshadow does crease a lot. So this just really helps keep it in place for me. So if you always have an issue with your eyeshadow creasing, I highly suggest trying this method. It really does help create a really good base for all of your eyeshadows. Now I'm going to pull out the star of the show, which is the Peanut Butter and Jelly palette by Too Faced Cosmetics. I'm going to start by going with the shade called Extra Creamy, and I'm going to use a Sigma E40 to just set the eyeshadow primer and MAC Painterly Paint Pot. What this is going to do is going to help the other colors blend so much more easily. This really made a difference for me when I started using this. Now I'm going to go in with the shade called Peanut Butter, again with the Sigma E40, and I'm just going to go in and start blending it into my crease. And if you do not have a crease like me, just go ahead and create one wherever you want it to be. This is really going to help define your eyes, and if you have hooded eyes especially, it's really going to open them up, and it's really going to make you look more awake. So really all I'm doing is I'm just going back and forth and even doing a little circle motion here and there just to get it completely blended into that crease. And because I wanted to deepen it up, I just go back in with that same color. I just wanted to add a little bit more dimension. Now I'm going to go in with the shade called Nuts About You. and I'm going to be using a MAC 224. It's basically the same as a Sigma E40, except in my opinion, it's just a little bit more precise. And so I just wanted to use this color again because it is a little bit of a deeper shade, again to just add more dimension to the eye. And if you notice, I'm typically trying to stay in that outer part of the eye, kind of in that outer V, just because it is a darker shade. I don't want it to go too far up in the crease, so I'm keeping it a little bit lower than the original peanut butter shade. Now I'm going to go in with that same Nuts About You shade using a Sigma E25 blending brush. It's basically just a fluffy brush, but it's a little bit more flat. So I'm able to lay the color down just a little bit more and to build up that color and deepen it up a little. And again, I'm just focusing on the outer area of the eye with this color. Now I'm going to go back in with the MAC 224 brush, and I'm just going to blend out my crease just a little bit more just to make sure there's no harsh lines. Now I'm going to go back in with the original extra creamy shade. It's basically just a matte white, but it's not too harsh. And I'm going to highlight my brow bone just a little bit. It's really just going to clean up that extra eyeshadow that just decided to pop up on my brow bone. Now I'm going to go in with the very pretty Jelly shade from the palette. It's a pretty bright pinkish purple. And I'm going to go in with the Wet n Wild flat shader brush. Basically any flat synthetic brush will work for this, but I'm just going to focus the product sort of on the inner portion of the lid and even going a little bit over the ball of my eye. I will say that this color was definitely not as easy to work with as the other metallic shades in this palette, but it was still so pretty, and I still just wanted to use a purple because of the upcoming spring and summer seasons. Now I'm going to go back in with the MAC 224 and again just clean up those harsh lines, blending it out just a little bit. So now I'm going to pick up the shade called Jammin' from the palette. It's this really pretty sparkly plum shade. And I'm just going to be using a Sigma E45 brush. It's a lot smaller and more tapered, so it's a little bit more precise. But I'm just going to be focusing the product on the outer portion of the eye. But honestly, you can just really skip this step because I ended up covering this up later on in the tutorial anyway because I didn't like how it looked. But now I'm just going to go back in with that fluffy shader brush from Sigma, and I'm just going to add a little bit more of the Nuts About You shade kind of on the outer portion of the eye just because I wanted to soften up the outer corner again. And here I am just trying to go back in with that Jammin' shade using a pencil brush from Sigma, just again to add a little bit more of dimension and definition to the outer part of my eye. But again, I ended up kind of covering this up later anyway. But I did want to show this to you just in case you wanted to do it. So now I'm just going to be taking a clean, fluffy brush and just again blending out any of the harsh lines that were created. And then now I'm going to be taking a MAC 242 brush, but any flat synthetic brush will work for this. And then I'm going to be taking some MAC Fix Plus. And I'm really just going to be spraying my brush with this in order to enhance the color that I'm about to use. So the color that I'm going to be using is probably my favorite in the whole palette. It's called Peanut Brittle. It's this really pretty warm bronzy coppery shade, and I'm just going to be placing it all over the ball of my eye. This shade is so pretty. I just really like how it really just kind of opens your eyes. And if you have blue eyes, this is really going to make the blue completely stand out because of the orangey undertones in the shade. Now I'm going to go back in with the color Jelly, again with a flat synthetic brush, and really just add just a little bit more to it because when we put Peanut Brittle over the lid, it really just kind of took away a little bit from the purple, and I just wanted to add it back. Now again, I'm going to take a fluffy blending brush and just again, just blend out the harsh lines that were created. So I'm going to pick up my handy dandy MAC 242 again and spray it with Fix Plus. And I'm going to go in with the shade called Bananas. Now I'm just going to pop this right on the center of the eye just to brighten it up just a little bit more, right over the peanut brittle shade. And since a little bit of the purple was lost when we added bananas to it, I did go back in with the color Jelly, again with a flat synthetic brush, just to make sure the purple was going strong. Now that part of my eyes are done, I just cleaned up that fallout that came off on my cheeks. And now I'm going to start on my face. So I'm going to be using the Cover FX Calming Primer. And you are about to see my face get really, really red because even though this is a calming primer, anytime I touch my skin, I just turn into a tomato. I just find that priming my skin before makeup application really creates that smooth, flawless canvas in order for the makeup to lay on top of. It also creates a bit of a barrier between my skin and the makeup, which I do appreciate. Now I'm going to go in with my very favorite foundation of all time at the moment. This is the foundation that I typically have been reaching for anytime I do something special or I just want to look my best. This is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation Stick, and I'm in the shade R230. I really love this foundation and I just went a little ham there. You really don't need that much because it is very full coverage. It's super blendable and I just found that this shade just worked perfectly with my skin. It's actually really, really hard to find a good shade that matches me super well because I do have a lot of pink in my skin and I'm very, very fair, and a lot of foundations do typically stray on the yellow side. So for this foundation to be almost a perfect match for me is just awesome, and I really appreciate that. And if you are wondering, I am using the Sigma F80 flat kabuki brush in order to blend out my foundation. Now I'm going to go in with the new Makeup Forever Ultra HD Concealer, and I'm using the shade R20. And this is supposed to be more like a corrector for under your eyes in order to cancel out the blue eye bags that you might have because it is a little bit more of a peachy shade. But again, because I have a lot of pink in my skin, this seems to work really well just for me under the eyes. It's not very peach at all on me, if you can tell. So now I'm going to be using a damp complexion perfection sponge from Real Techniques. I'm just going to be really just tapping back and forth just to make sure that concealer is really blended out underneath my eyes. I've found that this is my all-time favorite way in order to get my concealer blended in. Now I'm actually going to apply a little bit more concealer. This is the Maybelline Dream Lumi. It's a little bit more yellow based, so it's just going to brighten up my face. Even though my face is so white, I don't really think it needs brightening, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm just adding this to my nose, my forehead, and my chin just in order to balance out that brightness. And again, I'm just going to go back in with the damp sponge and I'm just going to pat back and forth just to make sure it's blended in completely. Just make sure that when you do this, you do not rub back and forth, you tap. Just make sure it does get in your skin. If you rub, it's really just going to rub the product off of your skin. Now I'm going to go in with my favorite under eye setting powder at the moment, and it's actually from the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit palette, and it's called Diffused Light. I really like it because it's super fine, so it doesn't leave like that cakiness underneath the eyes that a lot of powders do for me. And I'm just going to do this by using the Sigma F25 brush. Now I'm going to go in and set my foundation with MAC's Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Light. And I'm going to be using an Elite brush by Morphe. It's their E1 brush. This is probably one of my all-time favorite brushes. I really love how big and dense it is. It really just packs the product on. And because Max Mineralized Skin Finish isn't a full coverage product and it's so light, it's just one of my favorite setting powders. Now I'm going to go in with my brows, and first I'm just going to use a spoolie to brush them up. And now I'm just going to fast forward through this just because I spend a lot of time on my brows. But first I'm just using, right here, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Definer in the shade Caramel. Just making sure that I use a spoolie every now and then just to blend it all out seamlessly. Now I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz, and this is in the shade Auburn. I'm using this just because I want to add a little bit more dimension and darkness to my eyebrows. Now I'm going to go in with a very new product. It's from MAC, and it is their brow set in the shade Girl Boy. Now I'm going to start working on my eyes again, and I'm going to take the Sigma E25 blending brush with the shade Nuts About You, and I'm just going to add it a little bit more to the outer corner just to add more dimension to the eye and just to deepen it up just a little bit more. And this is where I'm starting to cover up that Jammin' shade. Now I'm going to go in with the Kevyn Aucoin Contour Book Volume 2, and I'm going to take the powder, the medium sculpting powder, to contour my cheekbones just a little bit. I'm not going too hard on this here. I'm definitely not being too precise with this, just because I didn't want a harsh contour for this look. But I am going to add just a little bit more of that powder to my temples and up on my forehead just to even it out just a little bit. But again, I'm not doing this too harshly. As you can see, I didn't put any more product on my brush. I'm just kind of blending what was already on my brush from the beginning. Now I'm going to take the NARS Stephen Klein palette. I don't think this is available anymore, but they do have a new Narcissus palette out that's very similar. But I'm going to take the NARS Laguna bronzer with a Morphe M527 brush. This is one of my favorite bronzer brushes, and I think it's really popular right now. It's supposedly a dupe for that MAC one, I believe. But basically, I'm just bronzing up my face just because I'm so pale, and I'm just going to go all on my neck, my cheekbones, a little bit on my forehead, and my temples. Just make sure I look like I have a little bit of a glow, sort of, even though that's probably really hard to do. But because I'm so pale, I'm not being super heavy-handed with it. I'm just taking a little bit of the product, just a little bit at a time to add it, just so it's not so orangey on my skin, because that's really easy to do with a lot of bronzers. Now I'm going to go in with one of my favorite blushes of all time. This is the MAC Mineralized Blush in Warm Soul, and I'm just going to apply it on the apples of my cheeks using a Morphe E4 brush. And I just really, really love this blush because I feel like it adds just the perfect right amount of warmth to my skin that the bronzer didn't do. Now I'm going to go in with Laura Mercier's Translucent Setting Powder, and I'm just going to do just a little bit of bakage underneath the contour of my cheekbones, just because I found that this really helps the foundation stay on that area of my face longer, just because I do touch that part of my face a lot, but I use a Morphe MB30 brush. But now I'm going to go in and work on the lower lash line some, and I'm going to be using a angled eyeliner brush from Sigma just to add that Nuts About You shade as close to the lash line as possible. Now I'm going to go in with a pencil brush from Sigma, and I'm going to take the peanut butter shade and just smoke out and smudge out the lower lash line some. But I'm not going to go on the inner corner of the eye. I'm mostly just staying on the outer portion of my eye. But now I'm taking that same pencil brush and I am adding that purple shade called Jelly. And I'm just basically mimicking what I did on the top portion of my eye. Whereas I put jelly on the inner portion of my eyelid, I'm going to put it on the inner portion of my lower lash line just to create that pop of purple. Now I'm going to take the Manizer Sisters palette by The Balm Cosmetics, and I'm going to be taking Mary Luminizer by The Balm. It is a cult favorite highlighter, and I can definitely see why. And to apply this, I'm just going to be using a Morphe M501 brush. I think this is really popular for highlight right now. I know Jaclyn Hill started it, but now I'm just going to be taking that flat brush from Morphe, and I'm going to wipe away what was baking. And now I'm going to be spraying the brush I used to highlight with MAC Fix Plus in order just to enhance that highlight color even more. I really like doing this because it makes your face have that wet and dewy look, which I love. I just love having the glow. Highlight is probably one of my favorite parts of makeup. Now I'm going to take a MAC 242 brush again and just highlight my brow bone with Mary Luminizer. I'm also going to use the same product and the same brush just to highlight the inner corners of my eye. Now I'm going to line the waterline using a nude eyeliner, which for this one I use the MAC Chromographic Pencil in the shade NC15 and W20. And then I just line my tightline with a black eyeliner from NYX. Now I'm going to prime my eyelashes using Butte de Cils by Chanel, and then I'm going to add mascara using my favorite mascara of all time called Le Volume de Chanel. And now I'm going to add on some lipstick, and I chose this color by Revlon. It's called Stormy Pink, and I would really like to give a shout out to Kathleen Lights for this because she talked about this in her drugstore favorites, and it just reminded me that I had this in the bottom of my lipstick collection. And I really just wanted to use this in order to pop that purpley pink out on my eye. I just thought it was so perfect for spring and summer. And of course, I can't help but spray my face with some MAC Fix Plus. I love this stuff. This is like my holy grail product. It really just helps your face not look cakey. And this is the final look without eyelashes. But if you're like me, I know you can't help but add your favorite falsies, and mine are from Blink Fink, and I am using the style Fink 05s, and I just love how they look. So now I'm going to be setting my face again with some setting spray by Urban Decay, and this is the All-Nighter Setting Spray. This is really just going to help keep your makeup on for a very long time. And this is the final look. Thanks for watching, guys. Hey everyone, my name is Hannah. Oh crap, the fan's on. Oh, who just texted me? Anyway. Hello? And when Too Faced Cosmetics decided to release, oh, whoa, can't wait, oh god, cold, even when the night is cold, I got that. Crap. Ah! I dropped it. Oh. again